next year, what game are we going to be playing VGC on? Champions, right? Is it right? Are we? And is that better? It's a good question, right? The thing about Champions, because we don't know that much about it, but there aren't going to be ways to do all the cool things that make Pokemon in Champions. It's only going to cater to a very specific competitive audience. And if it only caters to a specific competitive audience that already has to be in the know about stuff, there's no way to get new players to play Champions. So in 2 to 3 years, there will be no player base for Champions to pull from, because all of the fun things about Pokemon wouldn't be on Champions. They'd be still on the main series games, which aren't connected to battles anymore, because if everything's on Champions, do you see how that disconnect, right? Right now, if I'm playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and I want to use Palkia, and Palkia's been my partner, and we're going around and we're doing like fun stuff and it's been awesome, I can then take that same Palkia, press the Y button or whatever, I'm in a different mode. I can go on to rank like that with my Palkia. I don't have to pay for another service or another platform and then send it into home and then from home go to Champions and then do all that. I don't have to do shit. I don't have to do any of that, right? So you're thinking Champions is going to be better because they can balance it, but that's only good to appease a current audience, which when games start to do that, when they only start to appease their player base as opposed to work on gathering new players, the games shrivel up and they die. Marketing doesn't solve problems though, right? That's the thing, is like it doesn't like marketing won't help because people won't take that step. There's no reason to. The games also aren't going to be training them to do that anymore. If the games aren't built with the same mechanics of battles, like, all right, we're taking a look at Legends, right? We're taking a look at the Legends games, which have like kind of like a more Xenoblade-esque battle system. So if you're someone who loads up a game that has like a Xenoblade-esque battle system, and then you got a marketing prompt to go load your Pokemon into like Pokemon Home, which you might not have had before, so you have to pay money for that, and then send it into another game which you didn't have and have to download and do all that other stuff, which might have microtransactions or other prices involved. And then when you finally do all that and you get into battles which look like shit because they're also just on your phone, and then the battles aren't even the same way that you use the Pokemon, who wants that? That's not what people want. That's so many hoops people have to jump through. Imagine being a new player and having to do that. I'm gonna go play Fortnite. Anyone would. So that's just my thought, you know? The Nintendo Switch is getting it too, right? Yes, it is, but if it has to be a phone game, it can only be so good. I know that sounds crazy, but like, it's true. Now, VGC has had these hiccups before. Notably, at the end of restricted formats, we lose all of our player base. Double restricted formats kill the game. They basically put like a freeze on the game. No one really plays in like at the end of double restricted formats, especially if like they're not going to Nats or Worlds or anything. They just say, I'm gonna take a break from this game. I might watch Worlds and then I'm gonna come back at the next gen. Everyone is waiting for a new gen to give themselves like hope and inspiration and give themselves a shot to be good. But if we're stuck here for a whole another year with no gen, because the Champions isn't a new gen, it could be a new game. That's not the same thing. So when we get those new players, we're not going to get the surplus of new players. We're going to get returning players trying it out, but they're not new. I remember when I started at the end of Sword and Shield, regionals were over 200 players. Yeah, and then like if you remember back in Ultra Sun and Moon, like me and Diamond went to one of the last regionals of 2019, and there was like 80 people, right? It's like 84 people. Same thing in 2016. There were regionals with like 112 people, you know? There were more people at the end of Gen 5 regionals. I think there was like 160 people on the last Gen 5 regional than there was. And that was on the DS, right? This format is exactly the opposite of what makes me want to play it. The lower the power level, the more I want to play. And that's the thing is, like, I don't think that Champions is going to be that, like, boost that we need. Because, like, imagine you're little Timmy. and maybe you got correctly marketed worlds and all this other stuff. Maybe Wolf Glick, Aaron Zing videos, right? And you're like, I'm going to play Pokemon. Champions is your shot. So what's going to happen is you're going to download Pokemon Champions, and Champions is going to say, okay, little Timmy, send all your Pokemon in from your game. And little Timmy's like, oh, I don't have the games. I don't have the games. I just watch Worlds I want to play. And they're like, no, that's not how this works, little Timmy. You got to drop hundreds and hundreds of dollars on Sword and Shield, Ultra Sun and Moon, Scarlet and Violet, all these things to get all the Pokemon, or else you can't play. You might be able to pay to unlock these features in the Champions app. You're seeing how this is now a problem, and then you can play, but you gotta fork up the money, right? And so what little Timmy's gonna do is little Timmy's gonna be like, screw this, I'm not doing this. This is stupid. When all the ranked and battle modes are locked onto an actual game, little Timmy wants to go play. He's like, I don't have these mons. I guess I should play the game more. There's no game to play in Champions to get you mons. You got to play other games, which they don't have, which are hoops and things people are going to have to hop through, which they're not. Isn't that what makes Pokemon unique? No, like, I don't think that's that shouldn't be a feature. Pokemon Go. What if you don't play Pokemon Go? You shouldn't have to play Pokemon Go. And Pokemon Home is a paid service that little Timmy, his parents aren't going to give him their credit card information to do that. I'm going to read Shiny Quag's post. It says, something that stuck out to me in Reg G was when you played someone who led Torn Ogre and went for Tailwind Spout. You said this person isn't interested in playing the game. That's how Reg I feels the first turn so critical. Well, I mean, people can do whatever they want, you know? Double restricted formats suck. People just full send things and hope to win. Everyone does that. Everyone just tries to, like, go through the motions, you know? But the fact that Pokemon requires so many more other games to actually play competitive, I'm not seeing a way. Maybe you guys can enlighten me. I'm not seeing a way that Champions could fix that. Because you're not going to be able to catch mons. Like, you can get Lunala. Like, there's not going to be a showdown builder in Champions where you just build your Lunala. If there was, they'd make you pay for it. They'd be like, oh, you want Lunala? That's going to cost 600 Champions credits. And then you can do whatever you want with it, but, like, that Lunala cost you $10, you know? And it's like, that's ass, bro. That's stupid. You say technically Home is free, but it's like, it is technically free, but so is Spotify, and no one uses this free Spotify either. You got to do your research. That's why money and prize pool get doubled. I think we're talking about two different things. Are you saying prize pools got doubled so you can buy the games? I don't think that can't be what you're saying. You have to. I want you to think of like how hard Champions would be if it requires you to send in mons from games that you don't have as a new player. Put yourself in the idea. You say because only people with proper knowledge can do well. I mean that is true, yeah. But like, what we're doing is we're kneecapping people from even getting into the game by creating a secondary game that requires things that you can't have, and it won't tell you how to get them. You say Pokemon has been around for almost 30 years. Yeah, and no other franchise makes you have to play every other game in the franchise, fully complete it, suck every little bit of information and resources from it just to be able to like play the game. Like, I don't have to play Call of Duty on the Xbox, normal first Xbox to like play Call of Duty now. Should it be easy? Should it be easy to get into the game? Yes, it should. What? Like, it should be incredibly easy. All right. It should be easy to play the game with any Pokemon you want in any situation you want. That will create a skill-based game where the people that can do anything, like what you're trying to say, like, it should be hard. It's like, no. Like, you're telling people, like, if it's chess, like, you have to grind to unlock a bishop. It's like, no. Let everyone play with everything. And then the people that are actually deserving of skill will win out, you know? Like, you shouldn't have to grind to unlock the same playing field as everyone else. Pokemon is in chess. Is it? I think it's chess. I'm pretty sure that it is. It's way more complicated. It's not. I don't think so. I think chess is way harder than Pokemon. as someone who's like qualified for Worlds like multiple times, top cut regionals, I've done more than 99% of the player base has. And chess is way harder than Pokemon. That's why they're paid the big bucks and Pokemon players aren't. The only thing that should be difficult to attain is reaching the skill ceiling. I 100% agree. Skill should decide the game, not the fact that... All right, let's compare me and little Timmy. We both want to play Pokemon. I've been playing Pokemon for, 20-something years. I've played every single game. I've gone to all these events. I've done everything, right? I have the in-game knowledge as well as the life experience and the age and the income to buy anything I want, to do anything I want. I can pay for coaching. I can do all these things. I can do anything, right? Little Timmy, he can't do those things. He has no way to get the money to do those things. He can't even enter the regionals anymore. They cost money to enter the regionals now, right? I think that's stupid. Because like little Timmy could be that guy that leads Torn Ogre with no fear and beats me, but we'll never know. He can't even play the game. He can't even like begin to understand the fundamentals of learning the game if the game doesn't feature the mons that he needs to make it work. I think it's a shame. I think that could be fixed. I think that could be made easier. Nintendo should enforce stricter bans and checks on fake mons. I don't think that would fix anything. I don't think I don't think that fake mons have anything to do with anything. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. I think skill, you can't hack skill. Can't hack that. There have been a lot of situations like when I have top cut regionals, gone undefeated in Swiss with mons without perfect IVs, with wrong natures, because I was that much better than people. I made the right meta calls. I made the right plays. And when I did all my practicing, I practiced with these incorrect mons and incorrect EVs because they were the best that I could get at the time. And in doing that, that made me a better player. Now, instead of sitting there and whining and being like, oh, I can't believe people get to use all these good legendaries without a perfect stat. That's so unfair. No, I took what I had and I beat the shit out of people with them. And I think more people could do that. I think it's easy to say like, I hate that people can hack and they have all this free time. That's not fair. It's like, nah, just win, bro. Like what? Like, find a way to win with what you have. Like, oh, you can't get Torn Ursh? It's like, fine, get something else, you know? Make something out of nothing instead of like saying it's unfair, so I'm not going to try. You say if it's fine, we're playing for fun. We always are playing for fun. If you're not playing for fun, why are you playing? What are you playing for if you're not playing for fun? It's a game, you know? But for tournaments where the money's on the line, like I just said, like, just get good. I mean, it's not hard. You have the resources, right? Like, there's certain people that think, oh, my opponent has an advantage, I'm not going to try. And I don't particularly fall into that. If my opponent has an advantage, well, then I'm just going to work harder and find advantages that I have that they don't. If my opponents are all just hacking their teams and genning everything, and then they're just like grinding away on ladder, they're probably not going to do a bunch of other things correctly. Like we can use the fact that they're laddering so much more than me to catch them into pitfalls and traps that common ladder players fall into. If your opponent is just laddering, maybe they don't have enough tournament experience. Maybe you're someone that goes and plays in more tournaments than they do. It's fun to learn and be challenged. So I'm super excited to get in competitive. The plan is 2026. I want to start. So until then, I'm learning and farming common mons that I see played. I mean, that's great. I mean, that's exactly what you need to be doing. It's just like what I would recommend for your situation is like anytime you're like playing the game or like watching a game and something does something that you don't understand, you're like, wait, why did that mon use that move? Why is this one faster than the other? Why did this happen? Go back, look up its DB or its stats and just like fully immerse yourself with that mon. Because if that mon could do one thing that caught you off guard, odds are it can do other stuff too. So like, for example, like you're playing a game and your opponent has like a Delibird. And you're like, what is that going to do? After the game, win or lose, go look up Delibird, write it down, and just be like, look up every little thing Delibird gets. And you're going to be blown away by the amount of like tech these things have. You say CTS is a totally different beast from OTS that tourneys have moved to. I agree, definitely different. Unrelated, I wish TPC, the Pokemon Company, would do something to encourage locals. Living in the Midwest flyover state, I'm 4 hours from any locals. Yeah, so we actually went through a bunch of situations where like locals were really popular for a while, and then they were really unpopular. And now, the past year, they've basically gutted locals to where like you get your finishes, and then there's no reason to go to locals past like the first month because all the good players are going to win their 2 or 3 wins, and then they're just not going to go for the rest of the season. locals are something that I would agree with you that the scene needs, and there needs to be reasons to go to locals for highly competitive players. I think someone that actually still goes to locals even after they earn points is like Joe UX9. He just wants to fight the best people possible. He's been a really good like defender of locals from what I've heard. And a lot of like high level players just don't go to locals, which means like the new players that need to experience what it's like to play against better players and are excited to see these better players at the locals. They don't see them, and then they also don't go to locals. So like locals just dry up and die. You say they need to pay promoters and establish relations between their professors plus gaming establishments. Can you elaborate? I don't know what you mean by that. Pokemon is not esports. I think that's also a disconnect. That like we're not esports. We're our own thing. Like I compared it to chess for like a reason. I think it's definitely more of a game like that. Like I don't think Pokemon is the type of game that like sells out stadiums. I think it's a game that should be viewed online for an online audience with similar ideas and can be broken down and analyzed because it's two people butting heads, not like a team sport, you know? Am I coping by being hopeful that neither Miraidon, Calyrex, Shadow Rider win Worlds? I think Miraidon is probably going to be on one of the finals teams. I think Shadow Rider might not, though. I think there's a good... I think Ice Rider is better than Shadow Rider right now. I think Shadow Rider is one of those mons that, like, you got to roll a lot of dice to get that thing to work, you know? You say we're not esports because they allow hacked mons and don't reward the players who grind properly? I disagree with you. I completely disagree with you. If you're someone who like has the full Pokedex of legit mons, you're not someone with a lot of in-game skills. Probably because you've spent so much time doing that. You have something that is very valuable, right? But you're not someone who has used their time to become like a player with the correct knowledge for the right situation. You're not marketable, right? You're not. It has like. The hacked mons have nothing to do with it. I think you're locked in on the hacked mons thing, and that could be a part of the game that's really important to you, but in reality, like, no one cares. And you're talking to someone who uses legit mons. Like, you're talking to the like one of the only bastions of like legit Pokemon play, and I'm telling you it's not important. You don't just get like an esports stamp on you when you punish people for hacked. You don't. It doesn't change anything. They just save time. Yeah, and like I said, you can just use what you have. If you can't get access to mons, you can use other mons instead. I'm new to VGC, and just want to know, like, how long would it take me to make my own team? I kind of want to build around Iron Thorns. Bro, I just made an Iron Thorns team. Like, where is it? I'll show it to you on YouTube. I'll show it to you on this. I just made an Iron Thorns team today. I recorded a video with it. It goes live this week. Like, Iron Thorns is so cool, right? It's such a cool mon. Really, really like Iron Thorns. If it depends on how many resources you have in Scarlet and Violet. If you have access to like HP ups and proteins and all those things, it could take you a couple hours, make a team around Iron Thorns. If you have like no resources and you got to go catch all the different mons and then breed them and things like that, it could take you like 5 hours. But like this team, for example, I got this team in game that you're looking at right here. It has like Iron Thorns, Groudon, Kyogre. I already had access to Groudon, Kyogre. I had to re-EV train my Kyogre. I had to re-EV train this Grimmsnarl. It took me about 30 minutes. So that's that. Is there a place to learn like EVs and IVs? Breeding is important to know for getting what you need as well. Breeding is something that like is important enough to know, but they've made it so much easier over the years. And the thing about double restricted formats and restricted formats in general is that like you don't need to breed. You can't breed a Kyogre, right? You can't breed a Kyogre. You can't breed a Groudon. So like you don't need to know that for those situations. You just have to. And the fact that you can like bottle cap everything, you don't even need to breed anymore. You don't need to breed for egg moves anymore. You don't need to breed for IVs unless you're wanting like a specific like 0 IV stat. So it's not really that important. It doesn't take. I literally only breed like one mon like every like 2 or 3 weeks, and that's if I need like a 0 speed like T-Tar or something like that, or like a 0 speed Torkoal. The good thing about Pokemon is like if you breed something like once, you can just use that mon over and over again. Use reset Mochis and just like if you breed it once, you can just keep re-EV training the same mon. That's just my thoughts on that. It's not about the advantage in the game. I'm following the streamers' same logic on how you could use them laddering against them. It's not about eliminating fake competition and good sport. Sorry, you say it's about eliminating fake competition and good sportsmanship. So, all right, I'm all for good sportsmanship. I am all for good sportsmanship. But this is how I look at the game, and I don't know how everyone else is going to look at it this way. How other people play the game has absolutely zero effect on how I play the game, right? If you are someone, not you, but let's say my opponent in any hypothetical game is someone who hacks all their mons and ladders to rank 1 and is a former regional world champion, that's great. Freaking awesome. I don't think how you play the game and how much time you sink in the game has any effect on how I want to play the game, my own prep, what I bring to any match when I play. And when I go into the matchup, I'm doing my absolute best to not let the way they play the game affect how I play the game. I'm going to work on the things that I practiced, that I worked on, that I've developed to beat players in specific matchups in which I've practiced. So when I see a team, I don't see rank 1 undefeated best player that hacked all their mons. I see, oh cool, that's Koraidon. I like this matchup. I practiced it. Let me get into my lines, right? How other people play has zero bearing on what you're doing if you are confident enough with your practice. And if you find yourself not confident enough with your practice, you know what you need to do? You got to practice more. You got to get a little bit good. Yeah, Relo says, if you're worried about others hacking mons, you're worried about the wrong things, right? Like, if you're sitting there seeing that Rillaboom, like, worried about it, like, you know, is that a hacked Rillaboom? Like, I don't know. Like, I'd be more worried about that crit Grassy Glide. Like, that's a much more realistic thing. I'd be more worried about if it's going to fake out or U-turn on turn 1, so, you know? I would call the esport the one with the shooter games, the fighting games, the game built on, like, fast-paced reaction gameplay. You know, League of Legends, StarCraft, other games that have the big esports, like, background. Pokemon, though, is more like chess, where you think, and you think, and you think, and you do one thing. You don't need to be fast. You don't need to have mechanics. You got to use your brain. That's why it's so comparable to chess, I would say. If I had $1 for every time I reset my Shadow Rider EVs. I know, right? Like, what is it? So, like, we're talking about, like, legit Pokemon players not hacking, right? Like, I'm a content creator, right? I'm probably like the 5th biggest VGC YouTuber. I only got one of like all the Ruin Mons, right? I only got one of these things. And you know what I did? Instead of like hacking and genning all of them or complaining, I just didn't use them. I used like Chi like once a week, right? All right, so imagine being a content creator, right? This is a full-time job, right? And they come out with the new DLC, the Loyal 3, the Pheasantipity Okie Dokie Monkey Dory. But I only get one, right? And I don't want to EV train them every week. Like, I just never used Okie Dokie. I never used Monkey Dory. I used Pheasantipity like once, right? Because I don't want to reset my EVs. Those are resources, right? Those take time to do. And I just, instead of complaining about it or cheating, I just found other things I wanted to do that fit my playstyle better, right? Right. And I think that everyone could do that. Not that everyone should. People should play the game the way that they want to play the game. But for me, instead of trying to make clickbait content with Mons and crap like that, I'd rather just like find other new fun things that suit my preferences, you know? I was like, so for example, they came out with like that DLC and everyone was like, oh, all the Loyal 3, all these stuff. And I'm like, yo, I'm gonna use Yanmega, bro. Like, I'm so excited. It's Yanmega time. Yo, it's time to use Ampharos, right? That's what I did. I made that really cool team with like Weezing and Arbok, that whole Team Rockets themed team, right? How do you get to level 100? You just grind for hours? Is there a trick? No, so like I have 1 million hours in this game, right? But what you have to do is utilize, where are they? Up here, you get things called experience candies. And so like experience candies, this is like 2 levels basically. And I've maxed these out by doing Blissey raids. I think Pokemon is, it's a dicey place to be in prepping for champions, because like we really don't know what is going to happen at all. I really just hope that Champions is like its own little thing. Like, all right, the way we're talking about Champions, right? The way that I've been talking about Champions is like, oh no, Champions is going to come out and it's going to kill Pokemon because we're not going to be on the main series. It's totally possible the Champion just comes out and it's like its own other thing. You know, that'd be the same type of logic as me coming out saying, oh no, Pokemon TCG Pocket's going to destroy the TCG. That's illogical, right? Why would it do that? There's no reason for it. But like, just from what we've heard about Champions, it seems like they're trying to pull like the ranked mode off of our main games. And yeah, it's scary, right? Maybe it's just scary for me because like this is my job, you know, but it's scary, right? For someone new, this whole Champions thing makes me scared to invest hours into Scarlet. Well, that's the thing is like hours you invest to get Mons wouldn't be wasted. So like that's another thing. Like right now, the best thing you can be doing right now, this will help you in if the next year, also, by the way, this time next year, we could still be playing on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet too. That's definitely an option. That's if every other gen went this way, that's what we would still be doing. So, A, you're not wasting any time playing Scarlet and Violet because this could be the game that we have to play on. B, any Mons that you get now in Scarlet and Violet will be transferable to Champions any other future gens. So you're fine. Like the thing you should be doing right now is gathering information, gathering Mons in game, gathering those resources to do things to influence your Mons now to use them in future games. So that wouldn't be a waste. It could be a waste to like play like a Gen 3 game, you know, if you're trying to use that to like develop Mons. But like anything probably anything Pokemon bankable or higher, you're fine. I mean, I got nothing good prepared for Champions. I have no Dynamax, no Mega Evo, no Z-moves. So that's the thing. If we transfer over to Champions, all those things that you just mentioned would be things that would be tied to like items, like the Mega Stones in game. So you can't transfer items into Pokemon Home, and since Mons have to come from Home to Champions, things that are linked to items like Mega Evolutions and Z-moves, they wouldn't be locked. Does that make sense? The Mons themselves are, but the Z-moves and other things like the Mega Stones aren't. Champions in theory should have the full dex. It should, right? And so, but the only thing is Dynamax Mons. So sometimes on Mons have like a Dynamax symbol. You might need to get that in other games, but I would not be surprised if there was a way to stamp a Dynamax symbol on in Champions like you can in Sword and Shield. The thing is, like, I just can't see them knocking Champions out of the park. I can't see it. I think I'm the little negative guy here, but I can't see them like effectively giving us what we want. Like, do you guys remember Pokemon Go when it like first launched? How like you couldn't even like play the game for the first like 2 months? Imagine that, but with your series flagship game. It's like imagine going to a regional and like the game won't turn on. What? And also, how are they going to balance regionals between people that play on the Switch and people that play on the phone? How would they do that? Even in Hearthstone, what they did was they made you actually. So I'm someone that's played in like high level Hearthstone tournaments. I know that game sounds super boomer now, but like it was a game, right? And when I went to like fireside gatherings or tournaments, everyone played on PC or like everyone played on like a tablet, right? And it's like, what if little Timmy only has his phone? Or for me, like I'm not going to probably play on the phone, right? First season of Hearthstone was so good. I agree. I think it was good for the first few years. Like it was good up until about like 2017. It was good until about then. Yeah, I loved Hearthstone. I never like top cut any of like the majors, but I've won a few fireside gatherings, right? So that's pretty sick. And Hearthstone, I think, is one of the few examples of a game starting out not having mobile, getting mobile, and not dying. And I don't think mobile helped Hearthstone, but it didn't kill it.